Okay, I am ready. I wore my best pajama bottoms for you guys.
I'm smitten right now. I'm a little.
Stand in line, brother.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Welcome, everybody, to Bacon is My Podcast. Thank you for tuning back in. As always, we are here on Monday. I, myself, am Jimmy G. This is my friend Mike Wayman, and we are here today with the star of the television, movies. He's a writer. I've heard something about him being a rapper at one point in his lifetime. I've heard something about it. Stand-up comedian. Cook,
chef,
dude. The actor, writer, and creator of the Emmy-winning series Studio City, which is on Amazon Prime currently. The author of his brand new book, Way of the Cobra, which you can find online as well. Mr. Sean Kanan, thank you for joining us today. How you doing, man?
How are you? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Excellent, man. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. Where are you at today? What are you doing right now? Where are you located?
In lovely Palm Springs, California at the moment.
That's probably way better than the Northeast right now.
Nice and warm. We are here in New York.
So right now,
chilly. A little bit
tempted.
Yeah.
We had some
not much snow anymore. It's kind of melting away, but it still just sucks outside. You know, it just sucks.
The wind goes right through you.
Yeah. I love California. I miss it. I haven't been there. I was there a year ago, and I would have been there more times. But you know, we're living through this amazing time that we're living in. We're all learning new things about life and living indoors. How you been holding up? How you been doing?
You know, I've been really fortunate. I've been doing really well. You know, not to jump in and start plugging my book, but you know, one of the things I talk about the book is not just surviving but thriving. And so, you know, I've been really fortunate that I've been able to stay really productive and busy. No one close to me has been seriously ill, which is great. You know, when things were really locked down, I'm with my wife, who I love. You know, I mean, I can't even I always have this sort of weird, not fantasy, but I wonder about, like, you know, a couple that's just about to get divorced. You know, they can't stand each other, and then they find out that they're locked in together. And it makes me think of, like, what a great concept for a movie. Like, would they, you know, like War of the Roses? Would they kill each other, or you know, they wind up working it out, and you know, they're all in love again? But yeah, I'm lucky. All things considered, that it hasn't been that bad.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you keep busy because you do damn near everything. You write, you act. You've got an Emmy award-winning show that you wrote and you lead in. And man, I mean, what don't you do?
Yeah. Have you always kind of had a hand in everything? Was that something you knew you wanted to do early on, or did that kind of progress over time?
You know, I've always loved writing. I wrote my first film which was produced by Lionsgate. I think about 1992. So it's something that, you know, here's the thing. As an actor, unless you're Brad Pitt or you're Tom Cruise, you're pretty much another guy looking for work all the time, right? And the more things that you can do, the more tools you have, such as being a producer and a writer, the better the opportunities seem to be. I mean, you can either create your own stuff, and then of course you have to go out and get it financed. But I've always been really interested in the business side of entertainment, and now I'm really fortunate that I'm able to, you know, unify the writing, the producing, and the acting with Studio City. So, you know, it's one of those deals. I think, I mean, I love writing, but I think a lot of it came out of the frustration of just waiting around for somebody to hire me. And, you know, in the words of Don Corleone, I didn't want to be a puppet on somebody's string.
Well,
yeah.
I was listening to I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Bischoff from the former president of WCW. He actually said something on a podcast recently, talking about how guys have a hard time succeeding because they want the lead acting role as opposed to having a consistent like supporting act role.
Oh, dude, I would, when I was younger, I'm 54 now, but when I was younger, I mean, I was always going up for the leading man stuff. And now, it's not that I'm a character actor, but, I get to play some roles that are, not the lead, but there's some, really interesting stuff. But the thing about that is you work more frequently, you know what I mean? And so, listen, there's guys like, take, I don't know, this guy just popped in my head. Take like the late Brian Dennehy, okay? I mean, the guy never stopped acting, you know what I mean? I mean, just nonstop, great roles, nonstop. And, a lot of times if you're a leading man, you may only be doing 2 projects a year. Now, some of that may be by choice, okay? I mean, when you're getting paid $20 million a film, I'd rather be.
You can afford to do that.
You can relax.
South of, the Amalfi Coast too. But, what you're saying, there's a definite reality to that.
Yeah.
So I've also heard, I can't remember. I was watching like an Actors on Actors series. I've watched a couple of those, and I can't remember who it was, and now I'm like kicking myself because I can't remember it. But they were talking about how they actually preferred to be the second or third lead because they said the lead is sure they're kind of the vehicle is behind them, but it's the second and third that really pushes the story and really is kind of creating all the exposition around that lead. And so he said that he often like loves going for those parts because he feels like it's a bigger chunk of story for the film. Does that ring true to you? Does that make sense to you?
I guess that's true. I mean, if you're the lead in a film and if the film bombs, it can tank your career for years.
Right.
But there's also a lot to be said for being the star of a major film.
Of course.
So, I think that there are pluses and minuses to both. I think we can all agree, though, there's nothing more nauseating than hearing actors talk about acting. You know what I mean? The craft. Let me tell you about the craft. Yeah. So.
Well, that brings me to another question because I was going to ask you if you had any advice to give to young actors that does not include believing in yourself and does not include having the drive and does not include
I get it. Yeah.
Right. No. Like what's like a don't leave this in your bag don't save this.
Here's really good advice. When I was coming up, we didn't have the internet. Of course, we didn't have cell phones, ATMs, and lots of shit. But now everybody's got a smartphone, which means everybody has the ability, and the cameras are so good. Everyone has the ability to film themselves doing something, upload it to the internet so that somebody can see it. You know what I mean? Like when I was coming up, everyone would always say, well, do you have any tape? Meaning, do you have anything we can see you on? And the catch-22 of that was that you either had to go and pay a lot of money at a studio to go shoot it, or you had to get work, right? Now, you literally can go learn a monologue and, film it and put it on a Vimeo link and send it to, so there's no excuse for saying, I can't do something. You absolutely can go out and kind of create your own content. And the biggest evidence of that is that there are all these kids on YouTube who are getting, they're getting theatrical acting careers.
Right.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The money people are making on YouTube is just unbelievable. Like that, my kids watch Ryan's World and a bunch of like the hobby kids TV and stuff. Those people they go on vacation. They just videotape themselves going on vacation or opening up toys, and that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
And it's just that accessible now.
How have you kind of like, we are in a world where so many people are trying to make themselves so much more accessible by putting things on YouTube. There's actors doing their own independent films on YouTube with no budget and just throwing stuff up to do for fun. How do you see that as forwarding the industry, and do you find that as something that you're kind of wanting to embrace too, or is it something that's more kind of like, I'm
really fortunate that I was able to, create a show that's on Amazon Prime that I'm not going out there with my iPhone doing it.
Of course.
So I for me, that's not the path that I'm going to be taking. But I think that there's a lot to be said for it. Like I said, going out and creating your own content. I think that I always think that work begets work, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be getting paid for it. You grab a bunch of your friends. One guy wants to be a director, a cinematographer. One guy wants to be a director. You got a couple friends from your acting class or whatever, and you go out and you shoot something, and somebody's eventually going to get a break, and hopefully they're going to remember you, and you're going to start, working with people that are doing more and more things, and before you know it, you're like, wow, that I'm getting paid to do what I love now.
Yeah. Right. There's so many parallels in that with because we're musicians, and so coming up and trying to do that, it's such a similar thing. Like you were saying, you make friends with all the people that are kind of doing what you're doing, and some people are better at this thing or better at that thing, and you start putting things out and supporting each other, and you create like this groundswell, and eventually somebody gets something, and that's that whole networking.
Yeah, it's a little like hobo stew, like everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody's got some lights, somebody's got, knows how to do makeup, whatever, and you're making something. And listen, I think bootstrapping is a great way of getting stuff done. I mean, it's really, really difficult to get stuff made in Hollywood. It's difficult to get hired. So that's one of the reasons why I got into producing and, creating my own content and taking some, I don't like to use the word control, but having more of a voice in my own creative destiny, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Pushing a vision.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like for your show, for Studio City, like what brought you to the decision to kind of create a show in that kind of format? Like, you've been in soap operas and daytime TV for many years. You're absolute professional at that. Creating a show based around kind of the behind the scenes story of that, but also like definitely a narrative going on. But how did that whole process come about? Like,
and the formatting of it too.
Yeah, the formatting very, too. Like,
very, it's relatively unique in a way of it's digestible like a web series.
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, it's a digital series, and I think that when I was a kid, if you wanted to watch your TV show, you had to go on the couch at Thursday at 8 p.m. Right? Now, people want to watch what they want to watch, when they want to watch it, on which device they want to watch it, and so digital programming is a perfect answer to that. The episodes are between 10 and 15 minutes. They're very digestible. You can binge watch a couple during your lunch hour. I think that also the decision to go into this format was partially dictated by the amount of money that we had to produce it. It was partially dictated by the fact that we knew that there was a little bit of a vacuum in that market, and that, kind of calling on friends that, I've worked with over the years, that I could kind of, get them to do it if it wasn't a massive time commitment. Because here's what happens. You get asked when you've worked a certain amount, like me or the people that are on the show, people ask you to do stuff as favors all the time. And, if I can do it, I do it. But, 9 out of 10 times it never sees the light of day. 99 out of 100 times it never sees the light of day. Sometimes it doesn't turn out to be really good because they don't have the production infrastructure to make it good. And so I knew that, my wife cast it, but I knew, at least if we're asking these people to do it, it's not a huge time commitment. And then when it turned out so well, and all of our actors kind of drank the Kool-Aid and they're like, we're in. Then, we knew that we were going to be able to do bigger and better things. So kind of a long roundabout answer. I hope that answered it.
No, definitely. Yeah. I was really impressed by, honestly, the pacing of it.
Yeah.
I like, what kind of challenges did you run into trying to pace it out so that it would, because it really did, like you were saying, it's digestible, it's bite-sized, but it still hooks you.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Thing, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot of story,
right?
But it's done in a way that it's not too much to where you're kind of like, which thing am I paying attention to?
Yeah, there's a show within a show, and so for those people that haven't seen it, I play a guy named Sam Stevens who plays Dr. Pierce Hartley on the #2 soap opera in the world, Hearts on Fire. And he kind of, you think this guy's kind of got the world by the balls, but really you start seeing he's a very flawed guy, and he's dealing with a lot of issues, not the least of which is ageism. He's no longer the young buck on the show, and it's difficult for him. I think what we wanted to do, and I really attribute this to our showrunner, director, Timothy Woodward Jr., was create a very different feel for when we're on the soap opera in the show as opposed to the real world around. So when we're in the real world around, it's very fast moving, lots of walk and talks, staccato music. And then when we do the soap opera, it looks like a soap opera. I would have to say that like a lot of the influences are like Entourage and you know what I mean? So, and when you have a show that's only, 12 to 15 minutes, the challenge is getting the audience to know the characters and then emotionally connect with them, and giving all of your characters some screen time so that, you're developing a more well-rounded show. So that's really a challenge. And I think we've been able to do it pretty well. And we always toy with the idea, wouldn't it be great to have a full 30 minutes? But, we kind of got this one down now. So, and it's fun too, because it moves so fast. I mean, we blow through this. I mean, everyone is obviously doing their best work, and we rehearse when we can, but like, we've got a lot of real estate to cover in each production day. And I think on some level that forces everybody to really focus and bring their A game.
Yeah, it seems like you really have it dialed in. Like I was really impressed by that when I was watching the show, because it did exactly that. Like everybody does have, you kind of get to know every character as it's going, and it's kind of like when it ends, you feel like you're kind of like, wait, it's over already? How is that?
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
You always leave them wanting more, right? So that's kind of
exactly.
Yeah. And I haven't watched any other shows that do that. So this was like the first kind of like episodic show that I've seen that kind of paced it that way and did it that way. So I think that's really kind of a interesting and new thing that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I like the format. I think it's really unique.
I just kept thinking, like, great. Man, was this hard to pace this? Was this hard to like, I can imagine, man, that had to be nuts.
A lot of it's in the editing and a lot of it's in the sound design and music, and the way that we do a lot of walk and talk. So it's got a very kinetic feel to it when we're not doing the soap opera within the show. We want you, because soap operas, the reason people move in scenes in soap operas is because otherwise it'd look like an oil painting. I mean, soap operas are primarily all exposition. There's very little action in a soap opera, right? So we wanted to kind of create a dichotomy to that with the sort of, kinetic staccato movement when we're not on the soap within the show.
Yeah. Now, how much of the show is true to how a soap opera works? You know what I mean? Like I was like 40 pages of dialogue in a day. Like what?
No, that's very real. When you do a soap opera, you do a show and a half a day because you got to bank shows for the
Wow,
days.
okay.
Yeah. So that's
Right.
very
You're talking daily.
There's a lot of reality to it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it comes from an amalgamation of events and experiences that I've had or other actors have had, character profiles of people that I've worked with. And so I think there's definitely a very healthy dose of realism to it.
Yeah, and the just the issues that you touch on, like you already said the sexism. You got a transgender thing going on with one of the episodes and stuff like that.
We don't want to spoil.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much.
Definitely watch it because it's a really, really good show, and it's a really, really like. It's an easy watch. It's not like it doesn't. Like it's the opposite of dragging.
Right.
Like
it just literally has to move. It
flies by and you're just like, you watch 4 episodes before you even realize that you watched 4 episodes.
I appreciate that.
But what made you put all that into a show with this format? I mean, obviously it's going to be fast moving already, but then you add all these other social issues and things like that. Like how'd you do that?
because I think otherwise it's just not that interesting. I mean,
sure.
Go watch Soap Dish. Go watch that movie if that's what you want to see. And they did it very well, but it's been done. You know what I mean? And so the bar keeps getting lifted when you're going to tackle somewhat familiar subject matter. You got to kind of reimagine it, right? And so, I think we live in a kind of crazy, strange time. And there are all sorts of social issues going on. And, we wanted to deal with a lot of them, and do it in a way that's not beating you over the head because nobody wants to be preached to. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be entertaining. But, we want to make you laugh. We want to make you maybe, tear up every now and then and definitely think. And I think that's one of the strengths of the show. The show actually made history because Scott Turner Schofield, who was nominated for an Emmy, was the first trans man to ever be nominated for an Emmy, which means we're the first show to ever have a trans man nominated for an Emmy.
Wow, that's great.
And, I've known Scott for a long time. He's a really dear friend, and I didn't want to just have him on kind of, okay, LGBTQ box checked. I wanted to show that he is a multi-dimensional character, that he's an integral part of the show within a show, but he just happens to be a transgender actor. And, I think he just does a stellar job. And I think the show takes you to places that you don't see it taking you, especially kind of from the first episode. The first episode it sort of seems like the show is one thing. And by the time you get to the third episode, you're like, wait, what?
100%, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had that same exact feeling when I was second episode. I was just like, huh? Wait, I thought this was going one way and it's going another way. Because at first you think it's the story of this guy that's kind of aging out and, that ageism thing that he's battling and then like episode 2, you get introduced to these other very interesting characters. And then episode 3, there's this new person that comes in that you're like, wait, this is a wrinkle now, and now we're taking a left turn to like, so here's a thing that he gets hit with. Yeah, like, and again, I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah. People watch it; it's really good.
One of the things that my wife, who's one of the writers and producers, and our showrunner director Timothy, we sort of the mantra is that we always have to heap massive amounts of shit on my character. In other words, he always has to be. Nothing can be easy for him because if that's the case, it's boring. And, nobody wants to see a guy playing a TV star whose life is perfect. I mean, it's like, fuck you, right? But we want to see the guy that you kind of want to initially say fuck you to and go, oh my God, he's really human. He's really not a bad guy. And he's just trying to figure it out like the rest of us.
Right. Yeah. It's like you get to the point where you're like, oh my God, how many other things?
Right.
Right. And it's great that way. And also the way that the characters are just coming from someone who has, I worked as a bartender and a waiter in New York City. I know a lot of I worked with and know a lot of actors, aspiring actors. It's just that's the scene that I worked in Times Square, and it's like I know everybody in this show.
Yeah, right.
I know that person. Like, oh my god, that reminds me of this person. Oh my god, that reminds me of this person. And it was like, dude, it was really well done.
Yeah,
honestly, it was really well done. I didn't know what I was getting into when I went to watch it.
Yeah, it's not a show for soap fans. I mean, it deals with soap, but it's absolutely not a show for soap fans. If you're a soap fan, you're gonna really like it. But it's kind of for everybody. Because look, I mean, here's the thing: if you have characters that make an emotional connection with you, then you buy in. You know what I mean? And I think that's
everything.
Really important was to get this guy, my character, that ostensibly may not seem that likable in the beginning, and then you start to feel for the guy, and then you're kind of hooked into his reality.
Yeah, it's absolutely it.
So we're talking about you being an actor, and people are going to want to ask about a certain thing, maybe, but we're not going to ask you about it until maybe the end, if we ask you at all, because I'm sure, Jesus Christ.
I actually wanted to open the show and say we're gonna ask, but not till the end of the show, like the very last thing.
I've decided that you win. You're the show where I'm going to tell you the truth. No, like literally, it's family members calling me, and it's like, let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
You know what? If you do tell us, we'll make sure that we edit it out so that right before you tell us, it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Who cares? Who cares? If
just
you
enjoy the ride.
If you're gonna see it, you're gonna see it. If you're not gonna see it, you're not gonna see it. And just enjoy, man. Just enjoy. So this is what you've been doing, acting. Talk to me about stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
what's going on there, man? When did you start? How did you get into it? Has that been a forever thing?
It's kind of been a forever thing, off and on. I've done it throughout my career. I love it. Right before the pandemic hit, which was January 22nd, I was headlining at the Comedy Store on Sunset in the Belly Room. And I had lots of other shows. I was headlining at the Atlantic City Comedy Club. I mean, I had all these shows booked, and then of course, it died. So, but it's something, man, I just love it. I love doing it. You got that instant reciprocity with the audience. When you're doing most television and film, you're not in front of a live audience. And so, I think that's one of the reasons why I really love doing theater. Because, at the end of the day, I'm a performer. I like to entertain people. And it's really nice to get that, to hear people laugh. I mean, so I love it. And it's, and it's, I don't say it's, I guess it is scary. I'm at the point where I don't really get scared anymore, but it definitely is emotionally elevating before you go on. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta like get your game face on, and then realize that if you're not having fun, how can the audience have fun? So I go out and I have fun, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was your initial pull towards stand-up comedy? Were you always like a funny dude, like with your friends? Were you the guy making everybody laugh? Or did you go to a comedy club and went like, shit, I'm doing this, or an open mic?
Yeah, before that, I remember when I was about 15, I went to a comedy club and I just was like, wow, I was mesmerized watching these guys just keep the audience transfixed with a microphone in their words. And, I started doing it and working on it. And, I love performing in the clubs. And like I said, I imagine when the pandemic's over, I'm going to start doing a lot more of it. Not a lot of my material, but I got a really nice chunk of material that's about, the Karate Kid universe and all of that stuff.
Right.
And, people love that. And what's great about that was, people, I say, look, for those of you that don't watch soap operas, you might recognize me from another role that I played. I'm the guy that got his ass kicked by Ralph Macchio in Karate Kid 3, and people are like, oh yeah, that is him. But now with Cobra Kai and everything, it's like, it suddenly that material, which is funny and whatever, is now super relevant. So it's
right.
That's great. So who is your favorite stand-up comic? Like where do you draw your inspiration
What
from?
makes you laugh?
Who makes me
laugh your ass off?
Eddie, well, I mean, Eddie Murphy, Raw was.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Right. Actually, I really like John Leguizamo too. Have you seen any of his?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Heck
like
yeah.
it. Really, there's a lot of pathos in it. You know what I mean? There's
Mhm.
it's funny as shit, but I mean, you get that this guy's telling you like his truth.
I use something from his stand-up all the time. The bullshit.
I
use that all the
like
time.
Brian Callen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian Callen, I really like. I've performed with Brian, and people recognize him from the The Hangover, and I think Wedding Crasher. Yeah, he's great. I like Bill Burr.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you guys like?
I'm also a fan of Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I like Tom Segura. I think he's I like him so much because he speaks and kind of looks and acts a lot like my brother,
Yeah.
who had the same sense of humor. So growing up, I always had this like maniac next to me that was this crazy sense of humor. And I heard Tom Segura on Spotify. I didn't see him at all, and so I'm driving, and I'm in a band that tours and stuff, and so it's like late night driving, and he comes on, and I just felt like my brother was talking to me, and so I immediately became a fan.
You have what's it called? What's the radio? The subscription radio. I'm not gonna.
No, that like
XM,
like XM radio.
Yeah, the comedy channel.
Yeah.
Love listening to that. I mean, it's just.
Oh man, I love that too.
It's great that they get into bits.
I like Jesselnick. I like Anthony Jeselnik just because he's.
Jeselnik's great.
Dude, that dude. Just I like that kind of humor. Like I'm nothing offends me ever at all, and I'm kind of like one of the hey man, it's comedy. It's either all okay or none of it's okay. So you got to make a choice, and I'm with the all okay. So
for me, Jeselnik, Stephen Wright has to be a huge inspiration for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's kind of like Stephen Wright, but like naughty and fun. Not they're both funny, but it's you can see the imprint of Stephen Wright in what he does, and then he put a whole new spin on it. And I think it's really.
Which is if you had to pick someone that you kind of not modeled after, but if someone was your Stephen Wright, is there somebody that like you kind of like really vibed with their delivery or their style?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I like Brian Callen, and I when I perform with people, you never steal material, but like actors steal from actors all the time. You watch and learn. Brando stole
musicians do too,
and Paul stole from Brando, and it's and so I like a lot of what he does. I actually probably. People might laugh, but I mean, there's some stuff that Dane Cook does that I really like.
He got a bad rap, man. I think he's
later on.
You can like people want to say whatever they want to about him, but dude's funny, man.
Yeah.
Like funny's funny. You can't take that away.
You know what I really like, and I mean, I'm nothing like him, but is what's his name? He has one name, Sebastian
Maniscalco.
Maniscalco.
Yeah, him. And now he's like doing like legit big movies too. I mean, and so many comedians, as funny as they are, really find their stride doing drama. Think about Robin Williams and Matt Damon in that scene.
Yeah. Oh man.
When he's like, it's okay, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. I mean, your heart is like, and it's because a lot of comedians. They've got so much hurt and pain and pathos, and when they can channel it, and when they're not, because in acting, you're not performing for the audience. Even though what I told you, I like having an audience there, but when you're doing a scene, it's about the other person, and when they stop trying to kind of project outward and focus that laser with the truth to one person, God, sometimes it's earth shattering.
Yeah. Robin Williams is
Robin Williams is one of my top three. It's Robin Williams, George Carlin, actually Lewis Black.
Carlin, of course. Lewis
I like
Black, I love too.
I like Chappelle too. I like Chappelle.
Chappelle's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Chappelle really makes me laugh. But did you ever see when he won the award at the Lincoln Center?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really like. You really get a feeling for how important he is in comedy.
Yes.
And that really hit me. I was like, this, he's of course he's hilarious, but I really like him because of a lot of what he's able to evoke socially, I guess, make people think.
Yeah.
He's
done a really interesting pivot where he's out doing shows and he's doing comedy, but when you watch, like, he's been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube and throwing out like, here's a 10-minute bit, here's, and you watch it and it's like, it's not laugh. It's like, here's a laugh. Here's something for you to really roll around in your fucking head.
Right. I
Here's
like
a laugh.
Rather do that.
And I like that a lot. Yeah. I anything that can make me think,
Sure.
and any comedian that can make you think, and then also bring it around and go, hey, you know what? We're still funny though. And it's like, oh, cool. All right, cool. I'm still good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
I appreciate that a lot.
I think that comes from, you really need to kind of derive your material from the truth of your life. The audience the audience will give you like a little bit of latitude with, a little dramatic license about things. But if they sense that you're just completely bullshitting them about what you're saying, unless you're, I don't know, like somebody who's like, say, an impressionist or somebody who, that's their shtick. But if they don't feel like you're trying to connect with them out of honesty and then bring in the funny, they won't get on board. I don't think.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Nobody can smell bullshit on you like a live audience.
Oh yeah.
And they'll let you know.
For
like,
sure.
How did you find that? Because you said you enjoy doing theater so much. Do you find that kind of a connection still? I mean, it's a different thing because you're obviously not doing your own, you're not out there telling your own jokes, your own story, your own thing. You're playing a part still. But do you find that same kind of connection that you get?
I do, because when you do a play, every performance is significantly different, even though you're saying the same thing. I'll do, so much of it has to do with, the audience. There's the energy of the audience, there's the energy of the other actors, and it's never identical. So, one little tumbler changes, even though the lines are all the same. And then, it's kind of like when a plane is flying half a degree off, but it's going so fast that in 10 minutes, it's really on a different course. And that happens, I think, every night. And that's what makes live theater so exciting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put it like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's great.
Very cool. What have been some of your favorite things that you've done theater-wise? Like, what were some that really kind of stood out to you that you really enjoyed?
I really like Sam Shepard. I've done True West a couple times, and I love that play. As soon as kind of things open up again, I want to do another play, because I just really enjoy it, because I like the rehearsal process. It's a real luxury when you get a month of rehearsal to really, kind of dig into the character and really play with stuff and try stuff and rehearsal and say, okay, this works, this doesn't work, let's try something completely off the wall. And by the time the curtain comes up, there's no one yelling cut. I mean, it's like you're there potentially for 2 hours on stage, and it's like sink or swim.
Yeah. No safety net.
Right.
Yeah, no safety net.
That's great. That's gotta be exciting.
Oh, it's exciting. All right.
It's like a lot of our, it's a lot of parallels to our,
that's what we were saying
being musicians.
Was I find a lot of parallels just from having friends that pursued acting and being someone that pursued music in a different way. There's just so many parallels with that, and that, especially theater and like live shows. It's just that same thing. Like, there's so many factors.
If you're doing a film, and look, the editor can take your performance, and they can make a good performance great. They can make a fair performance good. You can't make a bad performance great, but you can reshoot. You have multiple takes, But I mean, there's no multiple takes in theater, and I think that knowledge, the knowledge that there's no safety net, if you're good, it brings out the best in you. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be good every single time in every performance, but at least you're like, throwing it out on the table. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you make a choice and commit because you have no other option. It's the same as stand up.
Would you rather bomb a scene or bomb a set?
Oh, I think that's an easy one.
I'd have to say I'd rather bomb the set because although it depends. I mean, if I'm shooting a half an hour special for Netflix or something like that ain't the time.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess
Not the bomb you want. Yeah.
If I'm doing some really small independent film that has no distribution and I bomb a scene, I guess it depends on the circumstances.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. I just see both.
I think emotionally bombing a set is more. We can learn from both, but I think emotionally because it's your words and it's really 100% you out there. I think psychologically and emotionally that's more difficult.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you learn more from it? As far as
I think I think every comedian needs to bomb because you need to learn how to stay up there and keep swinging.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I think that, for sure.
Pay the bills.
Yes, we do. We do have to take a quick moment to
gotta pay the bills.
Pay our bills and talk about our sponsor. So you'll be included in it, though. It's awesome. We have a sponsor called Pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, this involves you. You're an unwilling sponsor, Schiller, right now for us.
All right.
We are sponsored by a company called Poddex.
Do I get any free product? I mean, Jesus.
Sure. We'll send you some cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Poddex, what they are is they're a company that creates a kind of like a deck of cards that has questions, topics, unique conversation starters that you can have if you're a new podcaster and you're interviewing someone and you're having a hard time figuring out what to ask. But they're also good, they're kind of good conversation starters at any time.
Icebreakers.
Good icebreaker stuff, kind of like a Cards Against Humanity thing. They can be funny, they can be engaging. I've said before that once I am able to go back to bartending and stuff, I'll definitely be bringing them to the bar and handing them out to people that I see are totally not doing well in their conversations at the tables. I'll be like, hey, maybe you need to let you ask some of these. So we've enjoyed them. They're sponsoring the show. And so we take a little bit of time out to ask a question from the pod deck. So we're going to let you choose. So
not only do you get to choose the card, but you choose the deck. So they have the episode deck. They have the interview deck. They have the interview deck part 2. They have the what the heck deck. And then would you rather deck. So which one would you like to pick from?
Would you rather?
Would you rather? All right.
That's a good one. That's it.
We're going to let Mike shuffle because though I lived in Las Vegas and worked there for a year, I cannot shuffle cards. I am absolutely horrible.
It's so sad. You got to see him do it. It's hilarious.
Terrible. It really is. Whenever I shuffle, I'm glad that that there's mostly an audio portion of this show because it's just awful.
It's really funny. It's like it's like square hole round peg.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I can make drinks and count money. That's about it.
Listen,
all right.
Both are important skill sets.
Exactly right.
So I'm going to fan them out and I'm going to run my finger across them. And then you just let me know when to stop.
I said
okay. I'm going to go one before it then.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So would you rather be able to record your thoughts or your dreams while you sleep?
What?
That's weird.
Yeah. Would you rather be able to record your thoughts? Would you rather
be able to record your thoughts or your dreams?
Oh my God.
To be able to go back to.
I mean, my dreams. I mean, if I could record my thoughts, I'd be put up on charges. It's like, when someone pulls out her checkbook to write for, standing in line and she's writing a check for a carton of milk and suddenly I've got an axe in my hand. I mean, You know, I don't want my thoughts anywhere.
That's
100%.
So not a fan of Big Lebowski, huh?
I love the Big Lebowski.
Cool.
You're out of your element,
So,
Donnie.
Thank you for answering that question. And if you go to poddex.com, you can get 10% off.
10%
If
off.
you put the promo code BACON in.
Bacon makes everything better.
Bacon makes everything better, and you can have a Poddex, or you can get some sweet swag.
That's right.
All right.
So pivoting from Poddex, and I know we're taking up a lot of your time here, and I am super happy that you're doing that with us. We appreciate it. Before we go, because we're inching over, I do want you to talk a little bit about your book. So please talk to us about Way of the Cobra. What? Tell us what's going on.
Okay. So the book is called Way of the Cobra. And the genesis of the book was that a couple of years ago, you know, I was going through a period that I think a lot of people can relate to. You know, I had had some notable successes. I had some epic failures. And you know, I was kind of looking in the mirror going, what's next? What's the next act here? And I was, you know, 30 pounds overweight. I had no prospects for work. And I was like, I got to start doing some shit differently. You know, and I did. And, you know, the first thing I decided was I'm not going to wait for my ship to come in. I'm going to build the damn ship. And so I started doing some things very differently. And the book details a lot of the strategies and the philosophies that I've used to achieve, you know, some of my success. And in the course of 1 year, you know, I created Studio City and got it on Amazon Prime. You know, Success Factor X became an Amazon new release bestseller, and I lost 35 pounds. And I don't say that as a way of impressing anybody, but I say it as a way of impressing upon people what's possible. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. So the structure of the book is that it's a dojo. It's the dojo of life, of Cobra life, and I'm a sensei. And Cobra is an acronym formed by character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And, you know, I completely 100% believe that the information in this book has the ability to transform people's lives. And, you know, I believe in it. It's been selling like crazy during pre-sale, and it's going to be available in about 5 weeks. They're gonna be going out, and people are going to be receiving them. And if you'd like to pre-order the book, it's at wayofthecobra.com. And if you're ready to make 2021 the year you unleash your inner badass, then pick up a copy of the book.
Awesome. And for any of you that think he's just coming on here and he was in the Karate Kid 3, so he's just making up a clever dojo name, dude's been a martial artist his entire life. So you started martial arts at what, like 15?
Yeah,
like
about
early on, right? 14, 15?
Yeah.
And how has that kind of shaped your ability to kind of like, I mean, because there's just that philosophy of a dojo and that focus and everything. How did being a martial artist kind of shape you into having that kind of a focus?
You know, I think it helped me with discipline. It taught me humility. I think humility is something that's really important. It taught me, you know, integrity and respect. You know, a lot of people say to me, well, what do I have to do to be successful? Well, I'll give you a couple real simple things to do. You know, treat other people with respect and civility, behave with integrity. You know, you can be an individual with a very modest amount of talent, but if you conduct yourself with integrity and treat people with respect, sooner or later, you will achieve some success. You may not set the world on fire, but you're going to do a hell of a lot better than somebody that doesn't have those qualities. You know, character is the first pillar in Way of the Cobra. And I say in the book again and again and again, character is everything. Character will define your destiny. Character is when you do the right thing because it's the right thing and there's no benefit to you. It's how you treat other people, not because there's other people watching, but because it's the right thing to do. And you know, that to me is what really defines who we are. And it's something really important to me. And, you know, I'll just leave you with two other things, you know, in the book, and then I do have to go. But there's two things you got to do if you're ready to make significant changes in your life. First thing you have to do is you have to accept the fact that the universe wants you to win. Okay. You know, so many people are into this tribalistic victimhood because, you know, being a victim allows you to be a part of a group and it gets you, you know, a certain amount of empathy and compassion. Now, listen, I'm not saying that there aren't people that are absolutely have been victimized by certain events, and I'm not diminishing that at all. But there's a large subsection of our population that is, you know, always looking to be a victim. And as I said, that the universe wants you to win, it's as evidenced by the fact that it's in our DNA. How does a baby know not to breathe when it goes underwater? How for 200,000 years were we not the apex predators and we were busy running around with sticks and loincloths, trying not to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger? They're in the, you know, they're a footnote in the anthropology books, and we're now the dominant species on the planet. So you got to accept the fact that the universe wants you to win. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have to accept the fact that where you are in your life is who you are. It's the sum total of every decision you've made, the good ones and the questionable ones. And that is a way of taking responsibility for your life. Once you can do that, now you're ready to learn. Now you're ready to make change. If you can't do those two things, then you're going to be constantly repeating the same actions and getting the same results.
100%, man. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. That's awesome. Yeah, guys, we are out of time, so we don't even have time to ask him about the thing that you guys want us to ask him about. So I'm
You know
sorry.
what?
I just don't think we can get
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter because, dude, Way of the Cobra is for you guys.
Right.
Listen to it. I mean, truer words, man. Like, honestly. And like, this has just been a blast hanging out.
Man. Yeah, we're gonna do this again.
Hanging out with Sean Kanan today.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's doing there. It matters what he's doing right now, right? So Studio City right now is on Amazon Prime.
Way the
right?
Cobra on sale right now.
Pre-order it now, waythecobra.com.
That's
Sean,
awesome.
one more time, tell them where they can find you on the socials, anything that you're
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Let them know where they can get you.
Thank you. You can follow me on Instagram at Sean.Kanan and on Twitter at Sean Kanan. And, you know, I really do try and interact as much as I can with the people that reach out to me. So if you do, please be patient. And I'll try and get back to you as best I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
So much. I hope you have an awesome weekend. I hope you stay safe. Wishing you all the best with your show. And thanks to everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me that
You too, my friend. Maybe we can bring it back on if you end up doing something later that we want to talk about.
I love that. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves.
You too, man. Have a great
good
night.
one.